Week 7, here we are. Gosh darn it, felt like week 1 was yesterday. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, once the season really gets started, it's nonstop excitement, I'll tell you. Who would have thought? Bengals at halftime leading the charge. I don't know, man. This week I think is going to be a hot cluster of who knows what. But hey, that's why we love this game. How are we doing, sir?
I'm doing well, Bucks. Me doing well, and yes, you're right. I agree that it could be a very much a week of hot cluster, and this one, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm kind of impressed at the way Joe Flacco's played in this one, and the Steelers kind of are. I mean, they got off hot, but since then they've kind of gone very very flat.
They're shooting themselves in the foot. So, defensive penalties. And like you said, at the beginning, I'm like, uh-oh. I go, is Rodgers going to throw for like 350 and 4
Yeah,
touchdowns? That throw to Metcalf, on the sidelines, I was like, uh-oh. Little shades of early, 2000 Rodgers there. And I'm like, okay, this will be over at halftime. I can change it and watch something else. But lo and behold, old man Flacco comes charging back, and here we are.
yeah. If it wasn't for the officials and this in these silly what is a catch rules, Jamar Chase might have 100 yards by now.
Man, Des Bryant's got to, show his head somewhere. What's a catch, what's not a catch. But give Cincinnati some credit. They're hanging in there. That offensive line at the beginning was horrible, but Joe's shown some moxie there in the pocket, throwing some nice passes. And right now it's anyone's game, which is surprising.
Yeah, the Steelers defense is the one that looks like the atrocious unit as opposed to the Bengals defense, which we've been so accustomed to seeing this year.
Yeah, the secondary's really shooting themselves in the foot, this first half. The defensive lines, getting penetration and such. It's just the penalties, especially, it's they're too handsy. The secondary is way too handsy. I understand you want to be aggressive, but Joey Porter Jr. there's got to understand sometimes you just got to run with the guy. Don't be touching so much. And they're calling it tight in the secondary.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work in this 2025, version of the NFL. Joey Porter and Jalen Ramsey. And Jalen Ramsey, I don't know if it's just the fact that, Jamar Chase is the best player on the planet, but Jalen Ramsey very much looks like he is over the hill and has nothing left.
Yeah, at this point, when the Steelers, signed him, it was a situation where, there was some hope. You were like, okay, he's still got maybe another couple years in the tank. No, today he's looking like it's only on name only. He just doesn't seem to have it. Seems a step slower. But, when you have a good, defensive line, that masks a lot of it. When an offensive line can actually hold up against the, Steeler rush, that's when, you're going to see the secondary get exposed. And for some reason, Cincinnati doesn't have the best offensive line, but Joe Flacco's been able to make Ramsey look really bad.
Yeah. um. So we have a little bit of a showdown week, and I mean, I guess it's fitting to start off with this Thursday nighter because we weren't expecting this game to be a showdown, but it is a division rivalry and kind of a must-win for Cincinnati and Pittsburgh's kind of they got a little bit of a room for error, but they're riding high, trying to stay atop the AFC. So as we run down the other rivalry games, I think the biggest one is the Eagles coming off this kind of embarrassing out of character loss to the Giants, and they head to Minnesota. Minnesota's coming off the bye, coming back home from the international competition. I don't know if JJ is going to be back for this one. So, is there much hope for Minnesota to hold up here with Philadelphia's inconsistencies, or are the Eagles ready to come in and pound sand and take some get the kinks out from last week?
The Eagles were supposed to pound sand last week. Let's be real. They had a rough game prior to that, and so they were supposed to handle the Giants, right the ship, and everything was going to be good there in the city of brotherly love. And unfortunately, Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterboo decided, nope, we're going to have some fun, and tore him senseless. So right now, I don't know how many people really trust the Eagles. We don't know what this offense is. They have literally, their run game is non-existent. Literally, they went from last year, Saquon being the ninth, running back to ever eclipse 2,000 yards to barely 700 yards rushing with the same guy. So what's going on? The pass game is abysmal. So there's all this talent, but nobody knows what's going on. There's talk of, there were player-only meetings, but there weren't. Nobody knows. So if the Eagles want any chance of repeating, they need to handle business this week. They should be able to handle the Vikings. Mind you, the Vikings are talented, but you would think the Eagles would be able to handle them. But I don't know. I don't trust the Eagles right now.
Yeah, it's very, very, very hard to trust them. And how much of their offensive struggles do you put on the inconsistencies of the offense and the personnel, and how much do you put on it just maybe they're missing Kellen Moore a little bit?
Oh, I definitely think it's a coaching issue. What is this team supposed to be? Are you going to run the ball or are you throwing the ball? It seems like it's just they flip a coin every play. Okay, you know what? We're going to run. We're going to run. And then next thing you know, it's 7 or 8 straight passes, and there's no consistency. The offensive line, for some reason, seems a bit off, but there's so much talent on this team. You'd think they'd be able to overcome it, especially against inferior talent, but they can't. So is it just, are there guys that, maybe got a little too fat after the Super Bowl victory, thinking, this was going to be easy peasy and, not a problem, maybe reading their own headlines? I don't know. But for all the talent, this team is in disarray, and it's got to get fixed quick.
Yeah, it's interesting that, everyone talks about the tush push as being this unstoppable play, but they're very much looking like a team that all they have is the tush push because nothing else works.
Exactly. That's why teams, if you can keep them in 3rd and long, you've pretty much stopped half that offense, because that's all it is at this point. Yeah. I don't get it. Hurts is a solid top 5 quarterback when he's on his game. I don't know what it is. It boggles the mind. So they're really going to have to they're going to have to go into there against the Vikings and literally have a dominant performance to really at least silence the critics this week.
Yeah. My Colts head out to SoCal this week, and fittingly enough,
before you go on, they had some quarterbacks in today in Indy, I guess, with this injury to AR, and one of them, Kyle Trask. So you don't know, they had a couple guys in there for, I guess AR is going to be out for a little bit. I don't know, but they're trying some guys out. So you might have a new number 2 over there.
Let me just say AR was going to be out for a while, one way or the other.
So yes, your Colts.
I don't know how you break your face in warm-ups, but if anyone can do it, it's Anthony Richardson.
Dude, watch the video. I was like, I'm like, this guy, just give it up, dude. Just give it up. I don't know. Do quick shot. Play in the XFL, man. That's where the future is for you. I don't know. Right. But I digress.
So my Colts are very much coming off a bit of a survival win over the Cardinals. And likewise, our opponent, the Chargers, very much coming off a survival win against the Dolphins, pulling that one out of their rear end. So it's just kind of like who's on shakier ground. I mean, I think it's still the Chargers because they have the injury woes, and we, knock on wood, Colts have yet to hit that barrier, apart from, AR's little shenanigans. Well, I mean, what do you see here? I mean, is it the Colts gonna shake off whatever that hiccup was last week and keep the train rolling, or the Chargers gonna be this kind of up and down roller coaster that we just continue to see?
I think the Colts have room for error. I don't know how much room the Chargers have, just because if everyone's believing what they saw last week with the Chiefs, then the AFC West is all of a sudden, the Chiefs to lose all of a sudden, even though they're, sitting there in 2nd or 3rd place. So it's one of those things where the Chargers they've got to straighten it up and handle business. Now, this very well somehow could end up being a playoff matchup. This is one of those games you get, week 7, week 8, where, the whispers start. Okay, well, it's still too early, but it's early enough where you're like, okay, well, this possibly could be a playoff matchup. We've got to kind of see what's going on. So the Chargers really have to clean some stuff up. Now they're battling a ton of injuries, so this is going to be interesting to see how they come across with this. But the Colts just have to clean up some stuff. Indiana Jones was a little shaky last week, but with the run game and everything being strong, he should be able to right the ship. So I think the Chargers are a little more desperate in their situation. The Colts just have to continue to play smart ball, and they should be okay.
Yeah, and a potential playoff matchup that you don't know which way home field could turn here, because we've got to deal with the Jags, and the Chargers have to deal with the Broncos and now the Chiefs. So it very much could be, let's say it is a playoff matchup, they could be back in LA. The game could be in Indy.
Exactly. You don't know how it's going to fall, and especially the way the AFC is right now. Who knows who's going to be where? So it's one of those things where when you're playing, a top tier team at this, part of the season, you got to show up.
It feels like every week we're talking about a different favorite in the AFC West. We started out with these Chargers for the first couple of weeks, and then we were high on the Broncos, and then they kind of fell off, and now the buzz is on the Chiefs because they're starting to get their wheels back under them, or at least seemingly so. So it's weird how on a every week or every 2-week basis through 6 games, we have a different favorite for the West.
Exactly, but the Chiefs have to do it this week too, and then it's like, okay, because it's almost like 2-week cycles. But if the Chiefs somehow struggle or just can't or don't pull it off, I understand Rashid Rice is back and all, and that's great. But if for some reason they screw the pooch and lose, then at that point, I think you're looking back at Denver. Denver is probably the most complete and been the most consistent out of that division. So the Chargers have to look at it and say, you know what? We can't worry about the outside noise. We got to handle what we have in front of us, because you get to week 11, week 12, week 13, these teams could all be it could be a 1-game difference between all of them.
That's terrifying that Denver's been the most consistent team considering how their season's gone, and especially how that London game went against the Jets.
But if you've got a defense like that, if your offense is only putting up 13 points, hey, you hang your hat on it, because sooner or later you're hoping the offense is going to wake up. But that defense is legit and probably the best in the league, so you hang your hat on it.
Yeah, consistently award certainly not going to the Chargers. Go Colts! Sorry, you know what I'm referencing.
Just go ahead, man. Live it up.
Next showdown is between two teams that aren't necessarily near the tops of any divisions right now, but it is a long time standing rivalry in the NFL, and that is Washington heading into the Star to face Dallas. And this is a must-win for both, because Washington is 3-3, Dallas 2-3-1. That tie ever so hanging around. And I feel like, I don't know if a loss necessarily is the nail in the coffin for Washington, but it certainly makes things much more difficult for them as we get to the midpoint of the season. Dallas, a loss might actually be the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, Washington really wants to get this win. I think they just they need a good win to kind of get back on track, because you can't hang your hat on hoping that Philly's going to continue to be up and down, and maybe you catch them, slipping another like 2 or 3 games skid. So they've got to tighten some things up. Now, Dallas, it sounds like CeeDee Lamb's back.
Yeah. So limited participant, but practice 2 days. Limited but practice.
Exactly. And we all know that you literally can't trust the medical report in the NFL unless you know for sure someone's either broken a leg or lost a limb or something like that. So he's probably about 100%. So if that's the case, this could be a little tough for Washington, because if Dallas is smart and actually can get the ball to both Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, it's going to open up a whole lot for this offense. And it'll have to be a shootout because we know Dallas's defense is horrible. But if it becomes a serious shootout, you may have to give the nod to Dallas because I don't think Scary Terry's playing this week. I don't know. I didn't see. I don't think he practiced again. I'm not sure. And then at that point, you're gonna have to go with Bill there at running back, and hopefully he can pull some stuff. Bill, I swear, man, some people in their nicknames. I love it. And then you don't know what you're getting out of Debo, so it's and you don't want it to. Yeah, and you don't want it to end up being on the legs of Jaden Daniels. So it's going to be interesting how this game turns out. If it's a shootout, I give the nod to Dallas.
I do want to get back I do want to bring up a point on that as far as the possibilities of a shootout. But on CeeDee, I mean, he's quoted twice this week. Once he said he could have played last week against the Panthers, and he decided to give it another week, so he was 100%. And then he even said more recently that he is planning on not having any limitations in this game. If you take the words from the horse's mouth, he's like ready to go.
Then at that point, Dallas, like I said, with Dallas, they've just got to figure out who's getting the ball and when. It's got to be even keel because now you don't know if Dak's going to go in and just still be George. Now, mind you, Joe, Pickens, Ferguson, you had other weapons, but I think sometimes Dak does get tunnel vision. So it's going to be interesting how the ball, how the shares get passed around. But at the end of the day, if they balance it out right, this offense is going to be explosive.
George of the jungle.
Oh, George. Yep, he's going to get mad this week. Gosh darn it. You don't get a touchdown, he's going to get mad.
Yeah. Now, as far as the possibilities of a shootout, I mean, these are two defenses that we've had quite a lot of talks this year as far as neither one of them being very good. So, if nothing else, take the over.
Yeah, if you're smart, I would. I think it's going to be high scoring. Now I say that, and next thing you know, it'll be like 18-16, some horrible kickers fest, and I'll be like, my fault. But no, I honestly think my fault. You listen to the wrong guy. I just think at the end of the day, there's going to be points aplenty handed out.
I mean, I would agree with that, and I mean maybe we're giving it the double kiss of death here, but I just one way or the other. I mean, the only caveat would be, like you said, with all the injuries, Debo being banged up, if Terry doesn't go, Washington just not having enough weapons to keep up with Dallas. But you at least should be getting points aplenty from Dallas, despite the way Washington's defense played against Chicago.
Yeah, it's just this game is just going to be who makes the least amount of mistakes, and at that point, whoever puts the most on the board, there's your winner.
Yeah. A very interesting game here is the first of two AFC South versus NFC West matchups this week, and this is the London finale. Hopefully, probably, I would think, at least on paper, but hopefully the best one of the bunch. We leave the international slates with a good taste in the fans' mouth, especially off of that Jets game last week. The Rams play the Jaguars. I think this is a good one and very good proving ground for both teams.
Well, as long as Puka's 100% for the Rams, then yeah.
Yeah. And we saw how their offense kind of hit the skids without him against a Baltimore team that has no offense whatsoever right now.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be a situation where you'll probably see some other guys hopefully step up, and the run game will be a little more paramount. It should be because the Jags have a quality defense. The Jags defense is top notch. I give them credit. With the Jags, it's just, can the offense get on track and be consistent? That's just what it comes down to. Their defense does what it needs to do. Their offense is just inconsistent. So,
yeah. And the thing with their defense is the front of their defense is where they excel the most. And if they can take out Kyron Williams or at least severely limit him, that's a problem for Matt Stafford, especially if Puka's not out there.
Yeah, it's just what it is. Puka stirs the drink there with the Rams, so it's going to be interesting to see if Puka's either really limited or does not play, what this offense is going to look like. And if that's the case, then I'm sure the Jags are going to be in attack mode. And that's great. Like I said, that's great for the defense because they lead the league in takeaways. They're great at that, but their offense has to capitalize. And that's where I think the issue's been.
Yeah. Is there, which quarterback has a better chance against the opposing secondary in this one, Lawrence or Stafford?
You got to give it to Stafford. Stafford's proven he can do that. When it comes to Trevor,
against the defense that leads the league in takeaways.
Yeah, I would. He's not. I trust him not to make a mistake. Like I feel he's a veteran. He knows what to do. Guy's still got a rocket for an arm, even though he's literally can't move her at all in the pocket nowadays. But the man can still deliver the ball. With Trevor, it's just you don't know what you're going to get from him. He's so inconsistent. So if I'm a betting man, I'm going to take Stafford.
You don't know if Trevor is going to come into a game and decide, like, I don't want to play football anymore.
Yeah, exactly. He's just going to show up and be like, nah, I'm good, guys. It's fun. I'm going to go run a cat farm and just go off into the distance and live his life. But, like, there are days when, Trevor's good and he's gutsy, and then there's days where it's like, dude, what are you throwing?
That's right. Because, Seattle's defense very much locked them down. And apart from that, they had the Chiefs win was very emotional, but at the same time, the Chiefs just couldn't tackle him, barely, running into himself practically. So, they're 4-2 or whatever, but they're not a very pretty 4-2.
No, they're not a believable 4-2. You're like, all right, when does the floor drop on this team? Mm-hmm. You don't trust them. So if they can, win against the Rams, then I think they become a little more legitimate. But right now, even, with the Puka situation, I think you almost go with the Rams just by default.
Yeah, and we'll get more into the Seahawks in a moment. But if the Rams were to lose this one, that's a big knock for them on their season and their chances of the NFC West.
Oh, yeah, it just becomes more of a cluster over there. It's just like the AFC West, literally. It could come down to literally one game at the end of the year. Yeah. So it's one of those things where, you're seeing everybody else in your division kind of falter. You got to pick up the wins while you can. You got to stack them now.
Yeah. Now, it took 7 weeks of the season, but especially off of the way this Thursday night game has gone, it looks like the primetime games, we finally have a decent supply of entertainment on national air.
Yeah, took 7 weeks. You just had to work out the kinks, I guess. I have no idea, yeah. But yeah, the prime times are looking good. Like, people will actually watch it.
Yeah, the scheduling gods decided to get one right for the time. We give them enough slack.
Yeah. I don't want to say too much out loud because I'm sure the following week I'll be like, "Damn, here we go again."
I know. Yeah. Oh, here we are, back to normalcy.
Yep, there you go. Back to the Jets and someone else on primetime. Great times. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, the Sunday nighter, I feel like the only reason that this feels like it'll be a good matchup because the Falcons are fresh off that upset win over the Bills where Josh Allen just forgot how to throw the ball, apparently, or even run the ball for that matter. But that gives the Falcons a little more juice going into this one. Niners, they got their tail walloped by your Bucks last week. But at the same time, they've still managed to keep themselves in a competitive state when they otherwise really shouldn't have. So this is a very interesting one. It is based off what you saw from the Niners against your Bucks and how the Falcons played against Buffalo. Is it kind of the dam breaking a little bit in San Francisco? Going into this game anyway, I should say.
Supposedly Kittle's coming back. Is Kittle supposed to be back this week?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
So or trending in a positive direction anyway.
So if that's the case, then that speaks volumes and should help out. Um, who's quarterbacking this week? Is it Jones or is it Purdy? Now, depending on who you put in there, sways my answer. I think you've got to stick with Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones really moves this team around offensively. I think that's what you go with. But if Purdy's in there, it's going to be interesting. I don't know. I just trust Mac Jones right now. The Falcons are looking for a back-to-back win, so people can say, okay, this is the Falcons team we thought they were going to be, because everybody was high on them in the preseason. They were going to be the team to win the South, and they were going to make noise in the playoffs, and they've stumbled. They've been inconsistent. So you look at that Buffalo game, and it was like, yeah, Buffalo, what were you doing? And of course, you got Bijan, so any team that's got Bijan has got a chance. The run game with the Falcons is great. Penix has gotten better. They only scored, I think, 3 points the second half, so that's a little interesting, and it was really a depleted Buffalo defense. That defense has been rough.
Yeah.
So now they're facing another depleted defense in the Niners, but I think the Niners overall, their back half is a little better than what Buffalo is. So it's just going to be, can the Niners control the line of scrimmage enough to limit Bijan in the run game to give themselves a chance? If they let, Atlanta run wild, then yeah, I think it'll be a long day.
I mean, based on what you saw from the Rachaad White show, again with the Niners defense, is there anything to make you think that Bijan will run wild?
Well, losing, Fred Warner's huge. So it's how do the Niners overcome that? Like there isn't another Fred Warner. So it's a situation of what are you going to do with this defense? Who can step in and at least, make the calls and just, do enough to kind of limit the damage. So this Niners defense will look interesting because they've had a full week to basically rebuild the defense, because that's what you have to do when you lose a guy like Warner. So it will be interesting. Comes to the offense, if the receivers are healthy, they've got a shot. You still have CMC. He's no slouch, but he's gonna have to put up some numbers for them to have a shot.
Let's stay on the topic of Tampa and a game that's, I don't know if it's in rivalry territory, but it's certainly in extremely entertaining territory. Going back a couple of years now between your Bucs and the Lions. So based on how the history's gone and what you've seen this year, will Tampa give you a nice little birthday present on Monday night?
I hope so. Mike Evans has been limited in practice, so I'm hoping there's a shot he plays. I don't want him to rush him, so if they don't think he's 100%, I'm willing to say sit him. The secondary for the Lions, took a hit. Branch is out, so due to the suspension because of the Juju Smith fiasco at the end of last week's game.
Oh, Juju's been getting some headlines this week.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who were like, "Thank you, Brian Branch, great job." It's just, I thought people liked Juju, but I guess they don't, man. Jeez. So it's gonna be interesting how the Bucs attack this secondary, because the secondary is a little rough and banged up. It's just gonna be. It's basically gonna be, you got to limit the big explosive plays for the Lions. If you can do that, you've got a shot. And we're just going to have to make sure we get some pressure on Jared Goff. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. As long as, if the game is, less than 7 points and we got a minute and a half on the clock, I feel good. That's what I shoot for. My man Baker, he'll do his thing, but yeah, I think it'll be a good game. Go ahead.
We've talked about one game that has a high probability of being a shootout and a high scoring affair. I mean, based on how Tampa's defense played this year and how banged up the Lions secondary is. Do you think this is another chance that could just they get another game that could just be score for score, back and forth the entire game?
It could be a 38-35 game. I could see it happening. It's just with Detroit, is their defense, is their secondary, can they hold up? Especially when Breaker breaks out of the pocket. That's the X factor. Let's be real. The X factor is when Baker breaks out of the pocket, and now these younger guys on the Bucs wide receivers are getting a lot more play. So, and those guys are fast. So it's going to be, I think, almost like a track meet. It's just going to be who makes the least amount of mistakes. But yeah, points will be aplenty Monday night.
You guys got to make sure you still have some horses in the stable between, Evans being banged up and Ibuka likely to miss time and Godwin not being 100% back, McMillan not back yet. How many horses are left out there?
Sterling Shepard, baby. Sterling Shepard, get ready for it. 2-touchdown game. Get ready for it.
Oh, yes. And yet another a product of Giants mismanagement.
Exactly. Exactly. Him and Baker were big time in Oklahoma, so it's a situation where the Giants throw out trash, and hey, he works for me. I love me some Sterling Shepard, but yeah, it just it's gonna be and what I think is when things like this happen, it's good to get the young guys involved, because once you get down to the end of the season, these guys, if they're thrusted into this role, they've already had the experience. It's not the way you want it to happen, but sometimes, you take your injuries early, so then you're primed for a good run at the second half. So we'll see what happens, but it'll, like I said, it'll be an entertaining game. Just gotta, try to come out of it healthy and hopefully with a dub.
Might have to be the prop bet pick of the week. Sterling Shepard anytime touchdown.
That's right. Get ready for it. You never know. Tez Johnson, get ready.
The other AFC South NFC West matchup is the back end of the Monday night doubleheader, a true doubleheader this time, not competing time slot games. Houston visits Seattle, and I will say, I must say, I got to be the biggest Seattle Seahawks fan in the world. Put the stake in the Texans, please.
Yeah, this basically, yeah. I think a lot of people would say this might be this game is an absolute need for Houston.
Yeah,
it's crazy because 2 years ago we were everyone was on the Houston wagon and they were great. Now it's they had the injuries and such, but it just seems like they just can't overcome it, and you just don't know what you're going to get from them. So they're primed for the pickings. If Seattle can come in there and do what they need to do now, they do. The Texans do have a good, pass rush and such, so it's not like they're slouches defensively. But I think Sam Darnold and those guys will have a solid game.
Yeah, and you're right. Their strength is the pass rush. So the secondary, as long as Seattle's offensive line can hold up, Sam might have the opportunity to put up some points.
Yeah. Now the Houston secondary isn't horrible, but if they're going to give Sam time to throw, then as with any quarterback, you're going to be successful. So, but I think the key to it is definitely the Seattle run game. Like, it's got to get on track and be a little more consistent than it's been.
Yeah, and they've got they have two very good running backs. There's really no excuse for Seattle's running game to be so up and down.
Yeah. So it's either one guy's got to just explode, or it's got to be a situation where, you're getting, 70, 80 yards from both of them, something out of the, the receiving column, and just an overall solid game. But the run game has to show its head for sure for Seattle to continue to grow.
The other side of it is Seattle's defense is also playing quite hot this season. And C.J. Stroud has struggled this year. You got to call a spade a spade. So is this a game where C.J. Stroud could really struggle because Seattle's defense is playing at the level they are?
They are. Seattle secondary is still a bit nicked up. But the problem is with Houston is that the run game is almost non-existent. And when you can't run the ball, teams just pin the ears back and just wait for a pass. So until Joe Mixon comes back and all of this gets kind of fixed, or at least a little more consistent, Houston almost seems one-dimensional. So you don't want to dump on Stroud, but this is what it is. They have to be a pass first because the run game isn't there.
So if I attempt to read between the lines, where we might have an extremely entertaining first half of the doubleheader, will the second half of the doubleheader be a bit of an over early and head to bed?
Depending how the fireball flows, who knows?
Oh, I just meant in general for America, not just for your.
That's a bit personal. But if you mean America? Oh yeah, America's got to go to work on Tuesday. I don't. I'm good. I might just be up and just record myself doing commentary just for the gigs of it. But it very well could be. Maybe the NFL dropped the ball on the final game of this week. I don't know, but you can't flex now, so we got to roll with it.
No.
But who knows? Maybe the Texans are a gritty group and somehow upset the Hawks, and some bettors get mad.
Yeah, it's sad because it really should be a very good game to watch, but there's just so many variables in this that could make it not so.
Even if they were the same type of team, but it was like a divisional game, then I'd say, okay, it's a divisional game. Divisional games are always entertaining, because there's always just a little something extra. But yeah, you're like, okay, Houston, joy. Yeah. No one cares. But, like I said, it could end up being something good. You never know. But yeah, it's going to be, and maybe a hard watch after the first game, but we'll see what happens.
All right, Bucks and McGee, it's time for one of our favorite segments. It's good! Extra points! And I feel like this week there's a handful of games that very much have the trap label on them.
Okay.
So the first one is these Green Bay Packers, which we had quite the stirring discussion of last week. In this win, yet enthusiastically so, against the Bengals. They now head into the desert to play the Cardinals, a team that really should just be, hope at best treading water at this point. They got a spirited effort last week against my Colts. So is this a game where Arizona, they're back home after that horrible end to the Titans game? Is this a game where they might catch, these underperforming Packers, despite their otherwise good record, catch the Packers snoozing?
Well, here's the thing. Josh Jacobs, I guess, has been ill this week. They're saying he's good to go and he's going to play, but that's something to watch. Yeah, it's like Green Bay, the first like 3 weeks, everyone was like, uh-oh, Green Bay. This could be the team. This could be the team to take out Philly, blah, blah, blah. And they're just, when you end up in a tie with like the Cowboys, yeah, you just no one believes in you. No one believes in you. So if Green Bay really wants to be considered legitimate and to like be one of those elite NFC teams, they got to win. They've got to come out and they have to have a dominating performance where it's like, okay, we believe in you. We see what you guys can do. If you continue to flake and are up and down, you're just a team with talent that just can't do it. And then at that point, within another year or two, they'll end up trading off parts. You have all these wide receivers that this was the whole thing. All this talent on wide receivers. They're young. They're great. Blah, blah, blah. Just you guys, they're up and down. There's no consistency. The defense started out hot. Now it's like, okay, where's this defense?
Yeah, so they can't have a playing with your food week again.
Yeah, exactly. Because honestly, Arizona, they've got the moxie where they'll take it to you. They're hurt in certain positions, and they've had some rough weeks, but if they can put it together and almost take out the Colts, there's no saying that they can't do that against, Green Bay.
Yeah, especially being on the road in hostile territory versus friendly confines.
Exactly.
So it's funny. It's a funny question to have. It's like, who do you trust least, the Eagles or the Packers? It's a very,
Wow.
very, very, very tough one to answer.
You'd almost have to you just almost have to flip a coin and say it is what it
Yeah.
is. Wow. Oof.
The next potential trap game is for these Denver Broncos because we've seen some quality play from them. We've also seen some head scratchers from them, and they welcome in the bulldozer that is Cam Scatabo.
I think Denver should be okay because there's enough film of the Giants, whooping up on the Eagles that they're not going to be taken lightly. They're not going to surprise anybody anymore. The Giants had their surprise against the Eagles, and now teams are like, okay, if we stop the run now mind you, Dart's had some great games, made some throws, but it's a situation of who do you want to beat you? It's either Dart or it's Cam. So I think it's going to be a situation. Denver's defense overall, like I said, is elite. I think it's the best defense in the league. I think they'll be able to handle Mr. Scatabo. He just got to stop running headfirst into things. I don't get it, man. This man is a walking CTE commercial ready to go. He's got to stop it. Yeah, the juggernaut. Yep. You know what, Marvel? I'm sure they got a role for him. I'm sure he can do a little work there. But I think Denver will be able to handle the Giants. Denver's not going to be surprised by him, but Denver's got to put up some points. They've got to score when they have to. Like you're in position, you go ahead. Now, there's probably going to be a little more emotion with Denver this week. They're home and they are putting Demaryius Thomas in their Ring of Honor. So there's going to be a little more. There's going to be a little more, a little more juice on that team, a little more emotion. So they're going to want to make sure they play well.
Yeah.
So that when things like that, you have those things going on in your stadium, you kind of want to play a little more. But like I said, the Giants aren't surprising anybody anymore. They know what the league knows what weapons you have. They're going to plan for it. So I'm sure the Giants will play tough, but I think Denver will handle it.
Do you see this as a welcome to the NFL rookie moment for Jackson Dart?
This very well could be. He may take some hits. It could be a 5-6 sack game for him, and it's like, all right, well, I've had the taste of the good life, and now I understand why I'm a rookie. So let me just handle my business and move on.
Yeah. Next up, this is an interesting one to me because the Panthers have been playing well of late. They're 3-3. A 3-3 record that people wouldn't necessarily like, oh wow, the Panthers are 500 and we're almost at the halfway point. That's bizarre. So you think that this would be a layup against the winless Jets, but the Panthers are also prone to the occasional brain fart, and the Jets are in a position where they're home. You back a desperate dog into the corner. At some point, the Jets have to get a win. They have to get a win. So this is the type of game I look at with a big red flag trap.
No. I'm sorry. No. No way. I can't buy it. The Jets are that bad. You have to give the Panthers credit. The Panthers have played good. They've got a great run game so far. Honestly, I think the Jets have given up. I really do. Like, I honestly think the players are just like, whatever. Justin Fields is just not good. He's an athlete, and he's not a quarterback. Now, if you want to turn him
we tried to put confidence in him. We did.
If you want to turn him into maybe like a tight end or something like that, go ahead, try it. But no, I just don't think the Jets have it. I think Garrett Wilson might actually be out this week. I'm not sure. Actually, yeah, he is. He's out. So Garrett Wilson, I believe, is out. So there goes your number one weapon, the guy who was leading the league in yardage, I believe, or close to it. So
the only respectable piece you have on your roster.
Yeah. So it's going to be, Breece Hall and a bunch of, I don't know what, Alan Lazard.
No, Breece Hall is top 5 most disappointing players this year. He is average. He is the definition of, as the kids say, mid.
Well, when your quarterback's got negative 10 passing yards, you can't, and they force the run, you're not getting your yards. I'm sorry, they're stacking the box. It ain't gonna happen. You're not Barry Sanders back there. So no, this team is it's a hot mess. I would be shocked if Carolina loses this game. Now, mind you, from a divisional standpoint, I should be rooting for the Jets. I should be looking for maybe like a $5 Chad Pennington jersey and whipping it around the house because, you always want your division foes to lose. But I can't look at this and say, yeah, I trust the Jets to handle business.
I saw a rather amazing stat that Justin Field is like the first quarterback ever, or the first quarterback in a very long time to not throw an interception through 6 games, or I guess really 5 games because he missed one. And to not throw an interception through that much of the season and still not win a game. That's that is stunning to me. That just means you're not throwing at all. And if you're not throwing at all, then how bad are you?
He can't throw because he's getting sacked like 5 times a game. It's just a hot mess. He throws the ball late. He can't throw. There's no timing with his receivers. It's ridiculous. It's just bad. And I get it. Last year, I felt bad for Justin Fields. I'm like, all right, it's just a bad situation because he had that pocket with the Steelers where it was like, okay, all right, he was doing something. But no, it's just bad. And the Jets are just, there's no way it can't happen. But you know what? Put $10 on the Jets. See what happens. But yeah, it can't happen. It can't happen.
And our final trap game, one of our favorite topics this year, as every year, is the Kansas City Chiefs. They welcome the Raiders into Arrowhead. Now the Raiders, I can't say they're having a good year, but they're having a spirited year. They're at least putting an effort in. The Chiefs playing. The Chiefs, yeah, like Spirit of Halloween or whatever that mall store is. The Chiefs have obviously been playing a lot better, as we've noted a couple times throughout the show. So what are the odds here of a trap game for the Chiefs? Nursing a 12.5-point spread, mind you.
Unfreaking real, dude. Rashad Rice comes back, and now we're putting up double digits. Yeah, Like, I don't know, man. Like you would hope that the Raiders would have a little something, a little extra boost, and say, you know what, 12 points, that's bull. And we're going to handle business. But you know what? Yeah, I don't trust the Chiefs. Some people in America have all of a sudden said, yeah, see, I knew they'd be great again, blah, blah, blah. Well, no. I don't know if the Raiders will win, but I don't think – I think 12 is way too much. I think they'll make it, interesting. I'm sure, there'll be some stupid non-penalty called and, the Chiefs will pull it out and win because, last week, no penalties called at all. The Chiefs played the cleanest game of the season so far. All that bull, but yeah, I think the Chiefs will have enough to beat the Raiders. The Raiders just haven't been consistent, and they've got to figure themselves out. So it's divisional. You hope for a good game. I think it will be, but yeah, the Chiefs will probably win.
So I was going to ask you to round out the conversation, which trap game do you think the dog has the best chance? But based on how our conversation's gone, I'm guessing you're going to say the Cardinals.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals probably are the best. Honestly, I do. I really do because I don't trust Green Bay. It's like they play down to their competition. They just can't figure it out. They've got this talent, but for whatever reason, they just can't figure it out at times. So I'd give the Cardinals a shot. I would love to tell you that, the Jets are going to, put up, 30 points on Carolina and handle business, but they can't even get 10 positive yards in passing. So it's like, whatever, Jets, move on. And then the Raiders, yeah, you were hoping for a little something this year with Geno. I don't know. Geno just forgot how to play quarterback. He was just like, I'm done. I got my money. I'm good. I guess maybe Tom will be in the up in the booth, and he'll come down with a little black number 12, and he's like, this is how you handle Mahomes, and he'll throw for like 350, 4 touchdowns, and I'll just be like, unbelievable, man, unbelievable. But yeah, I guess the Cardinals by default, because the other teams I just can't trust.
Well, Bucks McGee, I would like to make a call out to the Sunday Scaries faithful. Wish Bucks McGee a happy birthday on Monday. He's celebrating quite the big milestone. Sir, take us off air.
Yeah, 21. I could buy liquor now. I'm very excited. I could buy liquor now. I'm very excited.
Don't tell the authorities that for all of our post-game shows this year.
I can go to the casino. Woo woo. No, thank you. No, thank you. But yeah, this. If you look at these games, you'd look at most of them and say, yeah, there's no interest whatsoever. There's just stinkers. There's some hidden gems, and there are a few ones that could be top billing. It's just a cluster. I hope that these games are entertaining. If you are a Jets fan, I'm sorry. It's just how life is. It's just move on. It's not Aaron Glenn's fault. It's your owner's fault. Monday night, that's where your eyes should be. Both games look to be entertaining. Chiefs, you guys are just straight up just paying off refs. That's it. I'm calling it. Paying off refs. But everybody else, enjoy your games, and before you know it, it'll be week 8.